Monday, January 20th, 2025. Mental health is real. Seek help and the stigma. On the news this afternoon. Governor Fubara charges politicians not to let partisan differences compromise peace. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike rules out possibility of reconciling with Governor Fubara. NLC folds fresh petrol price hike. On the foreign scene. Trump supporters speak on expectation of his first day in office. I'm Ifechi Kumwale with the news. Now, Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has charged politicians to ensure that their partisan differences and conflicts do not compromise the unity and soul of the country. Governor Fubara said this when he received the delegation of the People's Democratic Party Youth Forum led by its national chairman, Jamilu Kalshingi, at the Government House, Port Harcourt on Sunday. The governor urged everyone to keep aside ethnic and religious differences and protect the country.
Try as much as we can, every one of us, to do what we need to do, let the house still remain. Because if the house doesn't remain, I wonder what you are coming to claim. We must work together, keep aside our ethnic differences, religious differences, and understand that the success of this country belongs to every one of us. When it comes to the issue of politics, our differences will come, but to make sure that the soul of this state, the country, survives.
Governor Fubara assured the youth that he is doing everything within his power to ensure that the PDP in the state regains its pride of place.
We're doing our best in the state to make sure that the true soul of the party is kept alive. And when I say the true soul, you understand that we are not adulterated. We are the true PDP. We have some sets here who might claim that they are PDP, or what they call them is APDP, still remain the PDP, and we're doing everything to make sure that we still stand. We've had some cases where our loyalty were being questioned, but desperate situations also require desperate measures.
In his remarks, the chairman of the PDP Youth Forum, Jamilu Kalshingi, expressed joy at the recent court judgment on the local government area elections and the nullification of the purported PDP Congress. In another development, the FCT Minister and former Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike has downplayed the possibility of resolving his conflict with Governor Siminalayi Fubara. Speaking during a media briefing in Abuja on Sunday, the FCT Minister criticized Governor Fubara and his supporters for refusing to carry out the directive issued by President Bola Tinubu during the peace meeting he convened in 2023.
What is difficult to resolve? Mr. President, the sovereign of our nation, in his own wisdom, in his own fatherly way, say, look, you come, you sit down. This is the problem. I want this problem to be resolved. You play politics. I have never seen that happen in my life. A president of a country will call people, sit them down, do this. One party goes, it's political, it's not binding. It's not constitutional. Come on, who does that? And then you people are talking about conflict, tension, this and that.
Former Governor Wike also said they should have returned to President Tinubu to explain their inability to implement all the directives issued by the president. Recall that Governor Siminalayi Fubara had, in a broadcast on 25th December 2023, restated his commitment to honor the agreement he signed and said that the terms of the peace agreement was not a death sentence.
Our dear president has demonstrated that he loved Rivers State and cherished nothing short of a reign of perfect peace in our states. As a principal participant in the entire saga, I have taken some time to study the terms and have come to the conclusion that the peace path is not as bad as portrayed by those genuinely opposed to it. It affords some way towards a lasting peace. I reaffirm my acceptance and my commitment to implementing both the spirit and the letter of the declaration without compromising the collective interests of our people.
In the meantime, some callers on Nigerian 4FM's Morning Crossfire have criticized the FCT minister's comments, describing it as unnecessary. They said that Governor Fubara's primary focus is on the development of the state and not reconciling with the former governor.
The issue of Wike talking all these things, I think it's unnecessary. The governor of Rivers State, I hit the ground running. In the next years to come, he will contradict the statement he made. I want to tell the FCT minister that if at all there is a way for us to come together, it's not a bad idea. But as it stands now, my governor has moved on.
Let me put it to anyone who cares to listen. He has said it all. We should reconciliation. He has said it all, and that is the gospel truth.
For me, if you say you are not reconciling with the governor is bored with that now. He's working, developing Rivers State. That's what they ask him to do, not to come reconcile with you.
Away from that, some leaders of Movement for the Survival of Ogoni People, MOSOP, have asked the federal government to carry out proper consultations with critical stakeholders of the organization before discussion on the planned resumption of oil production in the area. In a statement jointly signed by Prince Bira Fegalu Nsuke and Olu Andawai Ogosu, said the advice followed a media report of a planned meeting with the presidency today pertaining to the resumption of oil production in Ogoni. The statement said while MOSOP is not opposed to oil resumption in Ogoni, it expects proper consultation and inclusivity in conversations relating to the issues. The MOSOP leadership also added that it has not been consulted and any discussion concerning oil resumption in Ogoni and related matters cannot be successful without their involvement. MOSOP called on the Ogoni people to be calm, peaceful and law-abiding as they pursue an enduring resolution of the controversies. Moving on now, the Nigeria Labour Congress NLC has criticized the recent increase in petrol price, describing it as the height of insensitivity against the masses. The NLC Deputy President, Political Commission Theophilus Ndubwako, argued that in a saner climate, representatives of workers, the organized private sector, and students would have been called to a round table to deliberate on the course of action and analysis of the consequences before the decision would be taken. Now, on her part, the NLC chairperson in Lagos State, Sesi Fumi, accused oil marketers of being major contributors to the country's economic challenges, describing them as enemies of the masses. She accused them of manipulating petroleum pricing to exploit Nigerians, alleging that they were undermining the government's effort to stabilize the downstream oil sector. She said the recent reduction in the pump price of petrol did not sit well with marketers because it disrupted their exploitative practices. Meanwhile, the national president of the Petroleum Products Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, Petro1, Billy Gillis-Harry, has reminded that petrol prices are determined by market forces. Quoting Section 205 of the Petroleum Industry Act, he said the government and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited no longer set petrol prices, nor do marketers arbitrarily inflate prices. He said refinery operators in Nigeria will respond according to changes in crude oil prices, while the effect would be felt by dealers, retailers, and end consumers. Dr. Gillis-Harry emphasized that Petro One members cannot buy petrol at a higher price and sell it at a lower rate. Dealers say it will continue to rise since the major component in fuel production, crude oil, has been on the upward swing lately. Recall that on Friday, the petrol price rose to between 1,050 naira and 1,150 naira per litre, following the hike by the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and various depot owners. Still to come, controversial tax reform bills to pass into law this first quarter. Stay with us.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
You're welcome back, and now the rest of the news. President Bola Tinubu will set up a high-powered committee to investigate the recurrence of tanker explosion and implement safety measures to forestall the tragedy. The Minister of Information, Mohammed Idris, stated this on Sunday at the palace of the Emir of Suleja, where he visited to commiserate with victims of Saturday's tanker explosion in Diko Junction in the Gurara local government area of Niger State. He said members of the committee would be drawn from the Ministry of Information and National Orientation, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Tanker Drivers Association, and other stakeholders. The minister also said enlightenment campaigns on the safe movement of fuel tankers, road safety habit, and the dangers of scooping leaked fuel would be carried out by his ministry. The death toll from the tanker explosion that occurred along the Abuja-Kaduna Expressway, Niger State, on Saturday has risen to 86. Moving on, the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Polytechnics, SANIP, has announced a 3-day warning strike from January 22nd to January 24, 2025 over concerns about career stagnation for non-teaching staff. In a letter to the Ministry of Labour, the National Board for Technical Education, and the Office of the Head of Civil Service, SANIP, accused stakeholders of attempting to block non-teaching staff from reaching the peak of their careers under the Contenders 15 scheme and the ongoing redrafting of the Polytechnic schemes of service. The union emphasized that prior attempts to engage with the government on the issue had failed. Now to business. The chairman of the Presidential Committee on Tax Policy and Fiscal Reforms, Taiwo Oyedele, has revealed that the National Assembly will pass the controversial tax reform bills into law this first quarter of the year. Speaking at the weekend, Mr. Oyedele also said the implementation of the tax reform bills will begin in July. The National Assembly is expected to resume deliberations on the bills after the suspension of actions on its last year. Now, President Bola Tinubu on October 13, 2024, asked the National Assembly to consider and pass 4 tax reform bills. The bills have since received huge backlash, especially from those who labeled it as anti-North. Now, however, last week, the bills received the backing of the Nigerian Governors Forum, who also proposed a new equitable sharing formula for VAT. Straight to entertainment, Nollywood actress Iniedo has opened up about her journey to motherhood, revealing that she became a mother through surrogacy after going through it alone without her partner. Iniedo, who has a 3-year-old daughter named Light, said this on the reality show Young, Famous and African. She confirmed she is not married, not in a relationship with her child's father, and that he has no involvement in their lives. And now to sports. Manchester United manager Ruben Amorim has confirmed that he will not play Marcus Rashford regardless of the situation. Recall that Rashford was left out of the squad for United's 3-1 loss to Brighton amid rumors he will not field a player he doesn't believe is the best fit for the team, distancing Rashford from the team's recent struggles.
Now, we'll bring you news from around the world.
Now, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump will be sworn in his second term as U.S. President today at an indoor ceremony in Washington, D.C. Now, due to freezing temperatures, the ceremony will take place indoors at the Capitol Rotunda for the first time in decades. Around 200,000 supporters are expected in the city. Trump has promised swift and dramatic action, including signing executive orders on immigration, deportation, the environment, and transgender rights. However, a cross-section of Trump supporters from different U.S. cities spoke on what they expect to see implemented on President Trump's first day in office.
On day one, I want people to go home that don't belong here.
And I want him to reverse everything that Biden has done in the last 3 days.
I want to see TikTok come back. I want to see illegals get deported. And I want to see gas prices go down, baby.
No tax on tips because I work so much hours and I barely get paid.
I want to see everything stay safe.
On day one, I want to see an explosion in XRP, specifically or any type of Bitcoin.
I want to see us drill oil again and be oil independent.
On day one, I want to see faith back in schools again.
This is the news on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
That's a wrap on the news this afternoon. Before we go, let's have a look at the major stories. Governor Fubara has charged politicians not to let partisan differences compromise peace. FCT Minister Nyesom Wike rules out possibility of reconciling with Governor Fubara. Tax Reform Bill Chairman has announced that the controversial tax reform bills will be passed this first quarter. On the foreign scene, Trump supporters have spoken on their expectations on his first day in office. The news was edited by Constance Irele Mega. To reach the news team, send an SMS or WhatsApp to 0808-721-7215. I am Ifechukwu Moyeli. Many thanks for listening.
Thrive in a fast-changing world.
Tune in to 92.3 Nigeria Info.